First of all, can I just welcome you all to Horsehoe Lake, home of the Carp Society. This is the third year that we've run an event of this nature. The first year it poured with rain the whole weekend. Last year was rather better, and today is particularly special because we're going to celebrate the life of Rod Hutchinson. And I'll return to Rod shortly, if that's okay. First of all, I thought it would be rather nice if you got a chance to meet some of Rod's family who've come along to join us today. So there's Kath. Can you stand up, Kath?
Give her a round of applause.
Yes. And Annie. Look, we couldn't let you come without giving you something, so that's a copy of the book that we've got.
You said you wouldn't cry.
And that's a little thing to remember it by. Yeah. One for you.
Thank you very much.
Want to take that for Mum?
Oh, can you be trusted with that? Hold it tight. Goodbye.
And this one for you, Annie.
You cracked it, Derek. Long tissue.
Thank you.
Cracked it, mate.
Okay, we're really pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and now to Rod. And there'll be other people who will be able to tell you far more about him than I can. But I do know a bit about Rod, and I did know him for quite a long time. And I'm reminded that none of us would be standing here today, or sitting here, were it not for Rod, because it was Rod who first suggested that we have a Carp Society. And Tim very kindly, when he came up yesterday, brought with him a copy of the letter that Rod wrote to him. And it says in Rod's words, "Come to think of it, I think that you should get together with someone like Pete Evans and start a Northern Carp group on CAA lines, open to everyone. Who needs Peter Mowen?" And the significance of that was that we all knew Peter, and he actually did a lot for carp fishing, but a lot of us fell out with him as well over time, and that was how come we got the Carp Society. I went to the first ever meeting of the Carp Society in 1981, and Rod was actually one of the speakers that day. It was in a hotel in Sheffield, and you'll hear from the other speaker, Chris Yates, when I finish talking to you. Over time, Rod travelled all over the country. He did talks for nothing. He kind of, over 50 years and more, moulded the fishing that we do today. He was such a big influence. And he did it in a different way. Nowadays, and I'm not, please don't anybody think I'm talking down carp fishing, but nowadays it's all about self-promotion. It's all about getting a photo, and sometimes you wonder if it's anything to do with the fishing. But Rod became famous because he was a good angler and he caught a lot of fish. That's how he got to be where he was and do what he did. And you hear the term superstar, legend, all sorts. But I think it's fair to say that anybody who knew Rod would say that you could apply those words to him, because he was a very special bloke. Today, everything you need for carp fishing, and a lot of things that you don't need for carp fishing, you can buy in a shop or get off the internet. Every piece of kit that Rod used when he started out, and people, some of you, because I know some of you started out around the same time, you had to make it yourself. And not only did you have to make it yourself, you had to think it up first. And that's how much carp fishing, I think, has changed over time now. For some, it's, as I said, it's all about self-promotion and the photo. The thing about Rod was he was quite an unassuming guy, really. But he still led carp fishing, and he did it in a very, very good humoured way. Not only did he have a good sense of humour, he could tell a story that would make you laugh, and sometimes it made you laugh for a week. And then, having forgotten all about it, 3 weeks later it would come into your head when you were somewhere that was important, and you still start laughing again. It was so funny. I think it will be Rod's name will be remembered over many years, alongside the likes of Richard Walker, Fred J. Taylor, Jack Hilton, and John Wilson. That's how highly I think we should regard him, and he deserves every accolade that I think people who come on stage later on will give to him, because he was a proper legend. Back when we started planning this event, one of the first people I picked up the phone to speak to was Rod's very good friend, Roger Smith. And Roger agreed that he would come along today and be part of a group of people to talk about Rod. And then very sadly, Roger was taken from us not so long ago. And I think Rod would appreciate us remembering Roger in the same way as we're remembering him.
Sorry, Derek.
Oh, thanks, Lou. I think it's fair to say that Roger and Rod had quite a lot in common. They were both quite unique characters. They both loved fishing. They both had a great sense of humour, and they had lovely smiles. And they knew how to catch a carp or three, I can tell you that. And Roger, along with Rod, made a significant contribution to the Carp Society. He was a regional organiser, he became chairman, and he became president. And he fully deserved all of those things. He then became ex-president, which he liked to laugh about quite a lot, but that's another story. I thought before I'd ask you to toast. We forgot to bring the toast things in, damn it. So we'll have to pretend. But before we toast anything, I thought I'd just tell you a little story that links Rod on the one hand, Roger. Who's the guy in the middle? Who's the guy in the middle? It's me, yeah, it's Rod, yeah.
Is it you?
Yeah, it's me.
Oh no.
Back in the 1980s, I joined Savo in the second year of the syndicate. I managed to last 12 months before I got chucked out. While I was at Savo, Mike Wilson very kindly introduced me to a club up the road that hardly anybody knew about, called North Harrow Waltonians. And in those days it cost about £2.50 to join, and it was a day-only fishery, by the way. But there were a lot of very nice fish in there, and I was one of the first sort of regular carp anglers, apart from local people, to get on there. Now, people who have known me for a long time will tell you I've always been quite a secretive kind of angler. I don't talk a lot about what I catch or anything. And particularly at North Harrow. The reason being that if you found a fish one day and you had to come off the water at sort of 8 o'clock at night, you wanted to get back where they were the following day. And if you told anybody what you caught, that was it, you were done for. Anyway, one particular day I was fishing on the lawns, and I had one of those wonderful dream days where I caught quite a number of fish. And I had a couple of them at one point, and I went up the bank to try and find someone to photograph it for me. And who did I stumble upon but Rod Hutchinson? And he came up and took the pictures for me, and went off. And that night, as ever, you reeled in, stuck your gear in the car, and went to the Horse and Barge. And we were all in the Horse and Barge, and I'd totally forgotten Rod's friendship with Roger. And at some point during the course of the evening, I wandered into the little boys' room, and I'm stood there having a wee, and in comes Roger, stands next to me, looks straight at the wall in front of him, and he says, "Did you catch any today?" I can't do his voice like some people, but he said, "Did you catch any today?" And I said, "No, Roger, didn't have a bite."
You fibber.
And he looked at me like that, and he looked back, and he gave his old Todger a shake when he'd finished, hitched himself up, and he said, "Aren't you a school teacher?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Have you never read the story of Pinocchio?"
Love it.
Right, so at that point, I was supposed to say to you, let's all be upstanding and have a toast. And we bought the drink, and we bought the cups, and we never put them in here. So let's just pause for a minute. I have this picture in my head that there's Rod up there somewhere, and there's Roger up there somewhere, and I know they'd either have a can or a glass in their hand, and they'd be looking down on us today, and I think they'd be enjoying this. So we'll just pause and think for them for a minute. Right, before I hand you over to Chris Ball, who's going to introduce you to the Chris Yates interview, I've a few more tasks to perform, if that's okay. It's kind of become custom and practice over the years with the Society at these events that every year we give an award to somebody for their service to the Carp Society. The year after the court case, it was Tim. Last year, it was John Seal, who helped us very much with the case. They even gave me one as well. So, but when we got to talk about it this year, we couldn't actually decide on who to give it to. So we actually decided we'd give 3 awards this year. All people who are long-standing carp anglers, all people who have been at it for as long or longer than I have, and all people for whom I have an awful lot of respect. The first one, he drives me mad sometimes. I often use the phrase, "I wish I could take his fucking batteries out."
What are you laughing at? And you?
Come over here, Chris, give us a cuddle.
Don't say a few words. No, don't say anything.
Yeah.
Back to the charger.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hold on, Chris.
I'll tell you a little story about the second person. But we have this kind of ongoing joke that we share. I'm quite a late night person, and unfortunately I do like a drink. So anybody who sort of sees my posts on Facebook will know that I often go into one about 11:30 every night. And one particular night I was sitting watching the telly, and I noticed a post come up from the person I'm going to tell you about. And I thought, oh, it's interesting, I can make a comment on that. So I made a comment, and straight back he came at me and said, "I'm amazed an old boy of your stature is still awake at this time of night." So I thought, you better. So I messaged him back and said, "It's Thursday, and the matron in my care home allows me to stay up late if I don't dribble." And ever since, every time he sees me, he calls me the Essex dribbler. Come on up, come mate.
Well on then.
Pleasure having got you together. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Now, I don't know quite what the next recipient of this award is going to say, really, and I'll tell you a story that goes with this one. About 6 weeks ago, we were in a meeting in the hall there, and we were deciding who was going to get the award, and we were also deciding what we were going to give them. And one of the people who was getting the award was sitting in the room with us. And when we got round to a final decision, the decision was that we would give them an engraved paperweight. And so the next recipient pipes up and says, "Who wants a bloody paperweight these days? No one uses them."
you got it.
I think I know.
So Mike Starkey, come over here.
Hello, Mike.
Sorry about this, guys. I'll be with you in a minute.
Take your time. You're not in school.
It's just as well I'd have a riot by now, wouldn't I? Got there. Right, done that. I just want to say two or three other things. People look at the Carp Society and they see the stuff that we do publicly, but they don't see some of the stuff we do privately, really. And over the course of the last 3 years in particular, we've done everything we can to support a range of charities and to help people who have helped us over the years. Many of you will remember Brian Mills. He did those wonderful carvings that are in our museum. He's also a very talented artist. And when he passed away, his wife phoned me and said, Brian told me that if ever I needed any money, I was to give his drawings to you and you would sell them for me. And that's what the Society's been doing over the course of the last couple of years. We've got a portfolio of his work over there, if anybody's interested. We've already sold a significant number, but I'm in a situation now where 3 years on I'm prepared to talk deals with people. So if you want to have a look and come have a conversation with me, please do so. And we'll also put some of his drawings in the auction this evening, and all of the money, all of the proceeds will go to his widow. There's nothing to do with the Carp Society. The other thing is, Rod's family have brought some of Rod's fishing items with them, a lot of which they've donated for our raffle, but I've promised them that some of it will be auctioned here, and there's a chance to get some very special things. The money from those auction pieces will go to a charity of their choice. So if you're here tonight and you've got some money in your pocket, it'd be very appreciated. And the other person we helped was a former member called Dennis Johncock. Went to Australia, had a huge book collection, and of course in Australia they don't like carp. So we shipped all his books back here for his widow, and we sold them, and she had most of the proceeds. So anything that you see in the auction is all part of that process. Right, and finally, I just wanted to say, as always, it's always the guy who's in charge who gets the credit for events like this. I mean, I've had so many people come up to me today and say, this is brilliant, well done, thank you, Derek. I've always wanted to cry a couple of times. But in reality, it isn't just me. I've a whole team of directors who I work with, and they've all been involved. And I've got a wonderful staff here. I've got Miles, who stood in the doorway over there. We've got Sabrina, who works in the office, and we've got Carl, who's the guy who's slowly withering away in the kitchen, cooking all the food. Fantastic people. I live in Essex. They work here. I'm on the phone probably twice every day, driving them nuts. But whatever I ask them to do, they do it. And they've made this happen today. So thank you, guys. I just want to mention one other person, and that's Alan Taylor. I know a lot of you would have known Alan, who passed away last week. He wasn't part of the planning for this, but I think it's one of the things I write to the life members every time we have one of these do's, and what I remind them of is that every year I come to one, there's one less person that I saw last year, and that's all part of the inevitability of life, isn't it? But I think those of us that knew Alan will be nice to remember him. Right, two more quickies. Over the past 3 years, those of us that have been involved with the Society have been kind of trying to repair what had become a bit of a broken dream, really. I remember the society when it had 6,000 members, when everybody wanted to go to the do's we did and everything. And when we re-entered the arena 3 years ago, there were only 11 members. Now we've got it up to about 1,700 now. But if any of you are not members, we really would appreciate you joining us. Because we do actually try to be a voice for carp fishing, and we do try to put the money that we get back into carp fishing in one way or another. And you've only got to come here and see events like this, our junior school, carp schools and things, to know that that's the case. So please consider joining us. The forms are over there. We're having a raffle later on today. There's a lady sitting just outside the main building, and she's selling the tickets. We're going to have a break after Chris has done Chris Yates' presentation, for you to go and get a drink and have a walk or whatever, and then we'll bring all the tickets in. So that'll be the last chance to buy them. So I think I'm done because I can't find the next sheet. But
Well done, Derek.
thank you very much.